All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Copper here with John again with our topic, is objectivism too complex for normal people or regular people or the masses? Is it
second-handers? Then, if it's for objectivists, then I guess second-handers is the right term.
Is it?
Or if not, then I don't want to put words in the mouth.
Is it too complex for second-handers? So, you think we need some sort of religion or something like that, something similar to a religion?
I think, yes. Something structurally, and not the book. So remove the heart. If like with your talks with Onar, where the human head and the elephant, then the elephant does exist, and like it's more geared towards that. I don't have to do anything for the human head. Ayn Rand's already written that. I don't have I'm glad, but they still need to I don't think everyone is.
All right. Well, let me give you my general hypothesis on where I think objectivism stands today, where we stand if we call ourselves objectivists today. We've been brought up in a culture and utterly brainwashed from day one. Everything about our culture is brainwashing. Then we break out of it and we start thinking for ourselves with the help of a genius philosopher, right? That might take quite a bit of brains, if you want to put it that way. But 100 years from now, when all of the schools are teaching regular, normal facts, no indoctrination, and people are able to think for themselves and just are given reality, I think that the tenets of objectivism will not only be understandable to people, I'm afraid they might be utterly obvious. Like freedom of religion and freedom of speech, to our great-great-grandfathers, there was no argument about it. So, if that's the case, then a better culture is going to answer this.
I would say. Are
you looking at a way to get us to that better culture?
Yes.
So is this a temporary? This is a temporary thing that in a better culture wouldn't be needed.
No, I think that it is needed, and I think that something like this is needed to get us there, because other religions and people go back to it, and I do think objectivism is too narrow. I will say that I did reach out to 2 different objectivists in the community to talk about this with, and they flat out just ignored me. I understand one philosopher that I emailed might not have gotten it, or just ignored it, but and then the other person did ignore it, and I think that dismissive attitude where you don't even talk is like, it's a total rejection. Like, I almost don't want to even be. I almost don't even want to call myself an objectivist to like I know that then might not be a good representation, but like, just total rejection isn't like, and people can hate me for this or whatever they want, but I think that if Rand, that might have been somewhat of being a woman, in the sense of how women are more shut off, where and Rand was definitely an alpha. I'm not calling her not an alpha by any means, but like, alpha men at least understand then that the idiots are useful to them. If I have a family and I have kids to protect, this person might not identify as me, but like, they're still useful in at least either making them go that way or helping them to at least have the individual principles, or maybe they can it's useful to talk to people, and because some people can be off about 99% of things and do one thing correct, and you could learn great things from one thing. They might be wrong about a lot of things, but like, I think it's very like, yeah, I don't think it would encapsulate everyone.
You don't think that what would encapsulate everyone? The movement to teach objectivism. So there are going to be stupid people who just can't get the ideas, but could we teach them the principles through the culture around them? I mean, I guess that skips your question, because you're worried about our culture right now today and how to move our culture today.
You just need to be more pro, like first, like, and I think one reason why one philosophy won't win out is simple fact of, I think there's a certain percent of the population that's just stubborn and I don't mean this in a bad way. I mean it in a way that like has obviously benefited. Otherwise, we wouldn't be like that. But I don't think everyone wants to. I think people want to have their own story, and I think, and what I'm proposing with a limited religion is where people would all have their own individual hero story, because there is so much to be gained from having like a character like that you love, and everyone can think of a character. Like I'm pretty sure everyone loves this character.
But why would that character have meaning to you unless you had some background to judge it against? So they can't choose themselves an individual hero just out of the blue. First of all,
it's not out of the blue. Yeah.
So I mean, it seems like a kid first has to be brought up and shown things in the culture, and then he develops his ideas of what a hero is from hero stories. Unfortunately, Jesus is one of the hero stories that gets told a lot, which is too bad.
Yeah.
But now, you say everybody can have their own story. Jordan Peterson and Eric Weinstein and these guys are making the point that this story is powerful because it's shared in common and shared over generations. It's not each individual's. Are you worried about that?
No, because not everyone's story will be good. But it is important for people to have their own individual story, because.
So you're going to replace the Jesus story with higgledy-piggledy, everybody gets their own, some of which are good, some of which will be not good. And are they better than the Jesus story? I mean, so why replace the Jesus story?
What?
Why replace the Jesus story?
So that people can have their, like, well, I mean, it's not. It teaches altruism the wrong way, and like, or not that there's a right way, but like it. I disagree with the values, but I think it is good for people to have their own story, because I think the two main problems with people's mental health is due to either fight or flight issues. And I'm not counting any physical ailments. If it's caused by that, then like that's separate. But then also like loneliness, and loneliness can be a poor connection with yourself, so you don't have an identity. So if you don't have your own identity, your own ego, then I mean, it definitely would be like a rational ego morality. Like it is, you can think of it as an elementary level objectivism, but then it is a personal, like, because you can have loneliness with not having your own ego, or you can have loneliness with not having good connections with a friend or family, and there are a lot of people out there with no family. There's a lot of orphans. Like, all these people should be objectivists. Objectivism should be as aggressive as Islam and Christianity and any other collectivist group. And I'm not saying it's collectivist in nature, but it is a collective of individuals. It is a certain tent, and I think that it should be a tent that should be trying to expand aggressively within its principles to get us to the ideal world today. I think that, like, I don't want to wait 100 years for an ideal world. I want to experience that, and I want to get it there as quickly as possible. And even once we're there, though, then this limited religion would replace, like, there would still be schools and people doing research and stuff, but this would replace psychology, in the sense that this would, like, you wouldn't have mental health issues when people have a solid family connection, and it would be, because it's like a public family connected on principles, and the main focus of it would be to raise people from to help raise people from age 0 to 18. And so the focus is safety of the child. So you make sure that the kid's not fucked with, and that it's safe, because some parents are bad. Some families are bad. Some people die. So I would like to know that if I have 4 or 5 kids and I don't have to worry about a car crash killing me and my wife, that is one thing that a religion does, is where it provides a social insurance safety net to help people deal with, life's mortality. And religion is the right structure. It needs a new Bible. It needs a different Bible. It needs replace the books that are wrong and replace them with correct principles. And now, since it's an elementary level, so I described that the first role during 0 to 18 would be to keep the kids safe. And then the second role would be to just instill the basic principles of rational egoism. On a very simple level, if people want to take things much higher level, they have all the welcome to. And since it's a religion, it gives us the cover of legal and social, cover, and so we can have an education system. And what can that education system have? Every single one can have an Iran section. That's fine, done. We can have it in there. But we need to have these structures of education, because otherwise we're just going to spend the rest of our lives only having objectivists come from kids or random people who come over, or undoing people in their 20s. So then we have to spend 5 or 6 years of undoing people, and when it would have benefited me greatly if I had this stuff when I was 15. I wouldn't have waited till I was over 30 to think that money was still evil. And not that I consciously thought that, but there was still the eye of the needle of a camel bullshit that was going into my body, and I can't really function long term thinking and prepare myself for a family and all that stuff if I think the resource that can help me is evil. That's terrible. So you just instill the basic principles, and then also, let's say I make 100 million. I don't think I would leave them all to my kids. I would, because they're not gonna, they'd be soft. I would leave some to my kids. I would do some stuff with it, but I wouldn't mind giving charity or my leftovers to. My ideal thing would be to give it to a system that propagates the values into society that I want. And why does that make me happy? Because then that just helps my kids. I can't control the whole world, but I can influence as many correct decisions as possible to reduce the threat level of threats that are in the world for my kids. Yeah.
So this school would teach. It would be it would be a religious place, but it would be an education.
I'm totally fine with your Indian teacher, the one TED Talk that you sent.
Oh, just a computer screen in the wall, and the kids learn.
I mean, we don't that's not all it's going to be, but I think that would be good to have that as part of the school.
Yeah.
You know, so like you have other options, but then you can have that, because it is true that there are some people who are like, oh my gosh, I love this. And then like if I would have had the option to just take math until I couldn't take it anymore, I might have just done math until I was 10, and then that would have helped me a lot with other stuff. And then I would have done something I would have really liked, rather than do this for half an hour or an hour, and then we're going to teach you something else, so that you continuously are undoing stuff rather than just let the kid learn it all the way through. And if that's what they want.
That sounds like the Montessori method, where they've got workstations around the room, and the kids go to the workstation and they work at the workstation as long as they want, and when they're done with it, they go to another one, and everyone is like doing buttons or lacing things up or a puzzle or numbers or something. Every workstation is a learning experience, and the kids go from one to the other by themselves when they're ready, when they're interested in it. So
does that work well?
That's the Montessori is the best education method there is.
Okay, I'm fully prepared to say I'm not an educator. I would do a good job, but I'm fully prepared to say I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about with how to set up the education correctly. But I do know that if there's like a limited religion in this city, and we have 100, they can communicate and figure out what works. And I'm open to talking to other people to figure out what works. I'm not doing this in order to gain personal control over other people. I'm doing this to make the world safer for my kids and to increase my life.
All right, so imagine you open one and it's successful, and then the local TV station comes and does a news story about it and says, a temple to capitalism has opened up in downtown Cincinnati or whatever. What are they going to say about it? Is it going to be a temple to capitalism, or is it going to be the Church of Ayn Rand, or is it going to be the Church of...
It's not the Church of Ayn Rand.
It's going to be the temple of physical work, or the temple of menial labor?
Temple of life. Temple of just appreciate, I'll explain how I functionally see it. I think it's accurate to say that it's a religion dedicated to like individual human flourishing. If you want to look at it in a simple way, like I said, there's kind of two sections in which people would experience this if they wanted. And so kids would have to be either brought by their parents. Like, this is 100% volitional. I'm not in any way holding a gun or making people do it in any way. They have to do it on their own way. This is the free market addressing this issue. And so the first part is the first 18 years, and we focus on keeping you safe. And I'm going to fully go into veteran homes or not homes, but veteran things, and see if they want to sit on a post, because I want my place safe. I have no trouble having veterans keep the place safe, or also having mass shooting drills to make sure it's safe, because the first thing is to make sure it's safe, and then the second thing is to instill the basic principle. If someone can distill the basic principles of objectivism into a simple 5, 7, 9, 3, 5, 6, some number pillar, that I'm cool with that. But then it's basically to instill the basic principles of, if you want to look at it as a building, where the building needs the foundational rods to go through it, we're trying to help instill those rods to help the person, because the first 18 years of life really matter. A person does have free will. Your life early on has an effect on it. And so we keep you safe and we instill good values. And then the second part, and then when you're 18, if you want to come back, sweet, but you got to start over. In terms of, now it's you initiating your start. It's not your parents, or your guardian. It's you fully yourself. And then when you're 18, it's more about you coming there then because you enjoy the people, and it's some entertainment. There's, like I said last time, there would be one service where maybe it's just mostly singing and you're just having a good time. Maybe you're doing the beat drums. Like when people go to a play, when I went to Ka in Vegas at the MGM, it's a Cirque du Soleil. It was very good. They had the beat drums and they did all the stuff because it does help. It does take the person, through an experience, but people would be coming, choosing on their own. But there is something that obviously we're attracted to. But then that wouldn't just be the only service. There would be another one like the Greek Onyx, where people can come and say their mind, and they're all the stuff. But when you're 18 then and over, it's basically like, okay, you're allowed to partake in the fun, but your price of admission is you have to then have an honest conversation with, each church might have 3 or 5 priests to make sure that, because not everyone fits personality wise. It's just, but you have an honest conversation where you are completely honest about your life and what you want to do with it. So that way we're helping you. If you want to look at it as like an umbrella, like if someone's here moving along through life, once you're 18, we're just an umbrella hanging here. So if you fall, we'll help you, but it's your life. We're just here to help you achieve your long-term happiness. Your non-contradictory happiness.
Where does this place get its resources?
It would have a bank. I mean, I don't know how that works either. So I've really only focused on like how to do the mental health, the church, the spiritual part, the psychology, I guess, of it. But I would think that the Vatican has a bank, so it would have to have some kind of bank. And like, I'm fully for if a chief or a preach, whatever they're called, rapes a kid, kill him. So if the first thing we're doing is we're not attracting any pedophiles. We're not attracting.
Well, where would it get its money though? I didn't catch that. They have a bank.
Well, it would have to have some kind of bank, I guess, so that people can.
That's not where money comes from. It doesn't come from a bank. Money comes from people producing stuff.
I don't understand your question then.
Well, if money came from banks, then we would all just open up banks and we'd be rich.
Well, I would think that people would volitionally give, or it could be
people will give to it then.
Yeah, well, it would be that, and then I guess like the YMCA does like offer like you can pay to use facilities, so I guess there would be some kind of combination of that. Finance isn't my background, so like I'm open to hearing someone help me understand like how to set that up right, but yeah, I guess giving would be one way, and then I guess go from there. But like the bank, I guess there would be some kind of treasury yeah.
Well, in a free economy, to get money from people, you have to provide them with a value, or else they won't give their money to you.
Yeah.
So, are you going to be able to provide them with a value, something people perceive as a value?
Yeah, I think that this would replace like how mental health is done, and it wouldn't leave it in the hands of the Marxists, which pretty much are all in on the psychology, which is why I didn't go and get my doctorate.
Yeah, universities are completely stuffed with Marxists top to bottom.
I got my counseling, master's in counseling, and then I was just like, counseling is teaching kids to be betas, and everyone's not going to be an alpha. That's like, but everyone can be an alpha in their own individual life, and that is ideal for everyone. And the more in control and you are of your own life, the better your life is for you and for everyone around you, because the people who have pushed themselves are the ones who are more likely to be respectful of other people's, like, I'm not wording it correct or right, but do you understand what I'm trying to get at?
People who have gone through something in life are more respectful of other people than people who have never experienced anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And so it would be designed to help people like do that, like yeah. And I think we have to get to people before they're older, and because even if then people like don't want to be objectivists later on, if they're 80% there, that's cool with me. I'm not worried about that person. That person is not a threat to me. And likely, if someone does try to, like, if there is ever an Islam war, then that person's going to probably be on my side. Like, and I can't fight everyone else on my own. And so my thinking with this, because I started thinking about this stuff before I met Rand, I was like 2.5 years into thinking of it and not thinking of it, like pushing it off, because at the same time I understood what I was trying to do, which every religion on the world is a target for Marxism and Mohammedans, and that was kind of scary. And I didn't realize that there was a whole group of people out there that are objective and reason-based and yeah.
Yeah, I would be worried that your institution would be taken over by the collectivists, because they tend to take over every institution.
That's why you would do some kind of hard constitution to make sure.
Yeah.
And because you're only attracting people who want, like, that's why you have to have the rule, you fuck a kid, you're dead. Like, we're not attracting scumbags. That is the problem with the Catholic, is that they attract scumbags to be then the people in power. You're going to have then scumbags in power. Like, and you have the church set up as a blockchain. So every single individual church is its own blockchain. There is its own individual thing. So if it's not doing right, or like other ones, like I'm definitely going to look at other places and make sure that they're doing correctly, because if they're not, then that's hurting my kids. Like there is built-in personal incentive to do this, and that's why you have it set up like a blockchain, where then decentralize power as much as possible. And I mean, yeah.
Well, you should set it up as a 501c3 and get a very, very small place to start, and have some Montessori teaching stuff in there, and see if people will pay for it.
Yeah.
Well,
you know the lawyer?
Huh?
I talked to a few lawyers, but neither the ones that I talked to don't do that.
No, all I ever got from them was, well, you'll need $1 million because you'll have to have a baseball diamond and a swimming track. I said, no, I'm not going to have a fucking baseball diamond at my school, you idiots. Doesn't teach you anything. They can do baseball after school, that's what I said. So, this is going to have a weightlifting and baseball and pool tables and whatever. It's going to be like a clubhouse.
I guess I would put you would have, like all the stuff that a Y has, all the stuff that's physically, like beneficial, and you can have it in the Constitution, some kind of, we need to have hard science to make sure that it like is actually, this, you know what I mean? Like you can set it up like that. So like it's, because you're still playing the long game. This is something, so that way then my kids don't have to start this. So that way then there's just already a structure so that people can go to, and it would have the physical body. It would have, like I mentioned last time, like what you might call a hobby, I might call a profession, depending on the activity. So you would then have stuff geared towards that, and you could have it where, maybe you just have like an empty warehouse where people can set stuff up, and then, we're going to do woodworking over here for the next 6 months. We're going to have some kind of expert come in or something, and you could do that. And that would be great, because then like, some people like to teach. So then you could go from like an expert could go from city to city teaching, and like, and just have a good constitutional set up in the right way, and like.
Yeah, you're gonna need to be able to finance it. You got to get money from somewhere for it.
Yeah.
But if it's 501c3 and you do get contributions, then you can put them back into it, and it will grow constantly from reinvestment, because you're not allowed to make a profit, so your profits have to go back into it.
Okay.
So that's one way to do that. I mean, look, an objectivist religion? I mean, come on.
Well, it's not an objectivist religion. Like it's not going to be named that, because the name turns people off.
Like I say, so the local news comes down and they announce it. What's it going to be called? What are they going to describe it as?
Personal fact mythology. It's an individual religion.
Aren't they going to say a clubhouse is opened up, or a?
I'm not sure. It depends on how antagonistic the reporter is.
All right. Well, should we draw a line there on the subject?
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll put that out to the public and ask their further input. There we go.